Street Genius Part 40. He was considered the best looking of the bunch. The girls all went wild for him. It was his face that began to appear in the magazines first. He was the most professional member of the group, too. He didn't do drugs, he had a steady girlfriend. There were even a few people in suits and ties who thought he should be the face of the band, not John or Paul. His name was Pete Best, and in 1962, after landing their first record contract, other three members of the Beatles quietly got together and asked their manager, Brian Epstein, to fire him. Epstein agonized over the decision. He liked Pete, so he put it off, hoping for the other three guys would change their minds. Months later, a mere 3 days before the recording of the first record began, Epstein finally called Best to his office. There, the manager unceremoniously told him to piss off and find another band. He gave no reason, no explanation, no condolences, just told him that the other guys wanted him out of the group. So, oh, the best of luck. As a replacement, the band brought in some oddball named Ringo Starr Ringo, who was an older and had a big funny nose. Ringo agreed to get the same ugly haircut as John had, as Paul had, and George had. Insisted on writing songs about octopuses and submarines. The other guys said, sure, fuck it, why not? Within 6 months of the Best firing, Beatlemania had erupted, making John, Paul, George, and Pete Ringo arguably the four of the most famous faces on the entire planet. Meanwhile, Best understandably fell into a deep depression, spent a lot of time doing what any Englishman will do if you give him a reason to drink. The rest of the 60s were not kind of Pete Best. By 1965, he had sued two of the Beatles for slander, and all of his other musical projects had failed horribly. In 1968, he attempted suicide only to be talked out, if it by his mother. His life was a wreck. Best didn't have the same redemptive story Dave Mustaine did. He never became a global superstar or made millions of dollars, yet in many ways Best ended up better off than Mustaine. In an interview in 1994, Best said, I'm happier than I would have been with Beatles. What a hell! Best explained that circumstances of his getting kicked out of the Beatles ultimately led him to meet his wife, and then his marriage led him to having children. His values changed, he began to measure his life differently. Fame and glory would have been nice, sure, but he decided that he would but he decided that what he already had was more important: a big and loving family, a stable marriage, a simple life. He even still got to play drums, touring Europe, and recording albums well into 2000s. So what was really lost? Just a lot of attention and adulation, whereas what was gained meant so much more to him. These stories suggest that some values and metrics are better than others. Some lead to good problems that are easily and regularly solved. Others lead to bad problems that are not easily and regularly solved. The story goes on. And next we'll talk about the Shetty values as we continue with the audiobook. That's all for the day. Talk to you after some time.